He saw a man kiss my neck at a party. I pretended it was nothing. He left immediately. I've been staring at my phone for 3 hours now, refreshing his location over and over again like I'm some kind of psycho or something, and he's at a hotel downtown. My husband of 6 years is at a hotel because of what I freaking did last night. And I don't even know where and how to start fixing this. My name is Jennifer, I'm 29, and my husband Marcus is 32. We got married young, right after I finished college. He was working in tech sales, making a decent amount of money, and I was doing marketing for a startup company that eventually went under. The past couple of years I've just been freelancing at home, which honestly has been amazing for my schedule, but terrible for my social life. That's kind of where this whole mess started, I think. So Marcus has always been the stable one. He's confident, knows how to handle things, doesn't take crap from anyone at work. His coworkers respect and look up to him, his friends respect him, and I honestly think it's a factor as to why I fell in love with him. He's just got that presence, Like he walks into a room and people just notice. Not in an arrogant way, but in a, this guy has his life together kind of way. Me, I'm more outgoing, more spontaneous. I like going out, meeting people, being social. Marcus enjoys that stuff too, but he's pickier on who he spends his time with. He'd rather have a few close friends than a bunch of acquaintances. But I'm the opposite because I'll talk to literally anyone. About 4 months ago, I reconnected with my old college friend group through Instagram. There's this girl, Vanessa, who I used to be really close with during sophomore year. She reached out saying she moved back to our city and wanted to get together. I was excited because, like I said, working from home can sometimes get lonely. Marcus met her once at a coffee shop and seemed fine with her, though he did mention one time that she seemed a lot immature for someone who's turning 30. I brushed it off. Vanessa's always been the life of the party type, super flirty with anyone, touchy-feely, you know the type. But she's fun, and I missed having girlfriends to do stuff with. Vanessa started inviting me to these parties and get-togethers with her friend group. They're all kind of in that perpetually single, always going out, posting thirst traps on social media phase of life. At first it was just girls' nights, wine bars, dinners, that sort of thing. Marcus encouraged me to go. He said it was good for me to have a life outside of work and our marriage. But then the parties started including guys, Vanessa's guy friends, which were really just dudes orbiting around her hoping to hook up. There was this one guy, Tyler, who I guess Vanessa had been on and off with for a while. He's 26, he works in real estate or something, drives a leased BMW, wears too much cologne, you get the idea. Tyler started paying attention to me at these parties. At first it was just normal conversation, asking about my work, cracking jokes, being friendly. I didn't think anything of it because I'm married, and I thought that was obvious. I never hid my ring, and I talked about Marcus all the time. But not gonna lie, Tyler's attention felt good. When you're home alone all day working on your laptop and your husband comes home tired from dealing with demanding clients, sometimes the conversation gets routine. We'd talk about bills, what to have for dinner, about his annoying boss. The excitement just kind of fades. With Tyler, everything was light and fun. He'd compliment my outfit, laugh at my jokes, and give me attention. It was harmless, or at least that's what I told myself. Marcus started noticing I was going out more. He never told me not to go, but I could tell he wasn't thrilled. He'd ask whether Tyler would be there again or what time I'd be home. Not in a controlling way, but in a concerned way. I'd get defensive and tell him he was just being paranoid, that Tyler was just Vanessa's friend and I'm just being social. The truth is, I started dressing up more for these parties, taking extra time on my makeup, wearing outfits that I knew looked good. And yeah, I was doing it partly because I knew Tyler would notice. It felt good to feel desired again, to feel that I was still attractive and fun and not just someone's wife who works in sweatpants all day. Last weekend, Vanessa threw a party at her apartment. She called it a spring kickoff party, which was basically just an excuse to get drunk on Saturday night. Marcus had a work thing earlier in the evening, but he said he'd meet me at the party after he was done, around 9 or so. I got there at around 7. The party already started, music was already loud, and people were starting to get wasted. Tyler was there, of course. He made a beeline for me as soon as I walked in, handed me a drink, told me I looked incredible, and I should have shut it down right there. I should have kept my distance, but I didn't. We started talking, and I was drinking faster than I normally do. The vodka sodas Vanessa makes are strong, and I wasn't really paying attention to how much I had. Tyler kept refilling my cup, kept making me laugh, and kept standing closer and closer to me. Around 8:30, we were all out on Vanessa's balcony. It was kind of crowded, and so Tyler and I ended up squeezed in the corner together. He was telling a story about a difficult client, and I was laughing, probably too loud. His hand was on the railing behind me, basically around my waist without it actually touching me. I knew what he was doing. I knew, and I didn't move away. That's when Vanessa came out and said someone wanted to do shots. Everyone started heading back inside, but Tyler grabbed my arm gently and asked me to wait outside for a second. I should have gone inside, I should have said no, but the attention just felt way too good and I was tipsy. So I convinced myself that it was harmless, that we were just talking. Except we weren't just talking. Tyler moved closer, said something about how I was too interesting to be stuck at home all the time, and how Marcus was lucky to have someone like me. I laughed it off, but I didn't move away when he put his hand on my lower back. Then he leaned in. I could smell his cologne and could feel his breath on my neck, and he kissed my neck, not like a quick peck, but a slow, deliberate kiss right below my ear. I froze for like 2 seconds. I just stood there and let it happen. My eyes were closed, and I felt this rush go through me. It felt good and wrong at the same time. Then I heard someone clear their throat behind me. I turned around, and Marcus was standing in the doorway to the balcony. He'd come straight from his work dinner, still in his button-down and slacks, and he'd seen everything. The look on his face? God, I'll never forget it. It wasn't anger exactly. It was disappointment mixed with something else. Like he'd just watched me prove every doubt he'd ever had about these parties, about Tyler, about all of it. His jaw was tight, and his eyes looked empty. Like the person he loved had just disappeared right in front of him. Tyler stepped back real quick, hands up in that universal my bad gesture, but Marcus wasn't even looking at him. He was staring directly at me with this expression I'd never seen before. I started trying to explain, but the words wouldn't come out right. My brain was scrambling for something to say that would make this okay, but there was nothing. Marcus just shook his head slowly and told me we were leaving. I tried to protest, tried to say we should talk about this, but he was already walking back inside. I followed him, stumbling a little because I was still drunk and panicking. Everyone at the party was staring at us now. The music was still playing, but people had stopped dancing. Vanessa was in the kitchen with her mouth hanging open. Tyler had disappeared somewhere, probably hiding like the coward he was. Marcus grabbed his keys from the table by the door. His movements were deliberate and controlled, which somehow made it worse than if he'd been yelling. He turned to look at me one more time and told me I could get an Uber home. Then he said he was done. I asked him what he meant by done, and my voice came out too loud. People definitely heard. I said nothing had happened, that Tyler had kissed me and I didn't kiss him back. Marcus looked at me with this cold expression I'd never seen on his face before. He said he saw what happened. He said that even if that was nothing, the fact that I let Tyler get that close, that I'd been letting him get that close for months, that was enough. His voice was level and quiet, but I could hear the hurt underneath it. I got defensive then. I said he was being crazy, that Tyler kissed me without my permission. I was grasping at anything to make this not be my fault. Marcus stared at me for a long moment and said I didn't pull away. He said I just stood there and smiled. That hit me like a punch because it was true. In those 2 seconds before I realized Marcus was watching, I had smiled. I'd closed my eyes and leaned into it slightly. I'd liked it. I tried to tell him we'd talk about this at home, trying to sound firm like I had any control over this situation. But Marcus just said no. He said he was getting a hotel tonight and needed space to think. He said I needed to figure out what I actually wanted, because it clearly wasn't him. Then he left, just walked out of that apartment and left me standing there with everyone staring. Vanessa tried to come over and comfort me, but I shoved past her and locked myself in the bathroom. I called Marcus probably 15 times while sitting on the edge of Vanessa's bathtub with mascara running down my face. He didn't answer once. I ended up getting an Uber home around 11. The house was dark when I got there. Marcus had already come and gone. I could tell because his work laptop was missing from the kitchen counter. His phone charger was gone from the bedroom. The book he'd been reading was no longer on his nightstand. He'd taken enough stuff for more than just one night. I tried calling him again. Nothing. I sent him a long, rambling text message about how sorry I was, how it was a mistake, how Tyler meant nothing to me. He read it immediately. I watched the read receipt pop up and waited for the 3 dots to show he was typing. They never came. That was last night. This morning I woke up tangled in our bedsheets, still in the dress I'd worn to the party, with a pounding headache and this sick feeling in my stomach that had nothing to do with the alcohol. I checked Marcus's location on Find My Friends. He was at the Marriott downtown. Still there as of me writing this. I've called him 6 more times today. I've sent probably 20 texts ranging from apologies to explanations to begging him to just talk to me. Nothing. Radio silence. I don't know what to do. I know I messed up. I know I let Tyler get too close. I know I liked his attention. I know I should have shut it down way before it got to that point. But it was just a kiss on the neck that I didn't even initiate. I didn't sleep with the guy. I didn't even kiss him back, not really. Is Marcus overreacting? Am I crazy for thinking this is salvageable? We've been together for 8 years, married for 6. We've built a whole life together. And he's ready to throw that away over one stupid mistake that lasted 2 seconds? Part of me is angry at him for not even giving me a chance to explain, for just deciding we're done without having a real conversation about it. But another part of me, the part I don't want to listen to, knows that he's right. I did let Tyler get too close. I did prioritize those parties and that attention over my husband's feelings. I did dismiss Marcus every time he expressed concerns about my new friend group. I've been sitting here going through our photos on my phone, looking at pictures from our wedding, from vacations we took, from random lazy Sundays at home. In every single photo, Marcus is looking at me like I'm the only person in the world. And I threw that away for what? For some real estate bro who probably hits on every married woman he meets? I need advice because I'm losing my mind sitting here alone in this house that suddenly feels too big and too quiet. Do I keep trying to reach out to Marcus? Do I give him space? Do I show up at his hotel? What do I do to fix this? Update. Okay, so it's been 3 days since I posted, and I honestly don't know if coming to Reddit was a mistake because some of you have been absolutely brutal in the comments, but a few people gave me actual advice, so I'm updating because things have gotten significantly worse. Marcus finally answered my calls yesterday afternoon. I was sitting on the couch staring at my phone when it rang, and I practically jumped out of my skin. For like half a second, I felt this flood of relief, like finally we can talk about this like adults and work through it. But he wasn't calling to reconcile. His voice on the phone was flat and distant, like he was talking to a stranger. He told me he's staying at his brother's place for the foreseeable future and that we need to have a serious conversation about our marriage. Not about the incident at the party. About our marriage. The way he said it made my blood run cold. Okay. I asked him to please come home so we could talk face to face. He said no immediately. He said he didn't trust himself to have that conversation in person right now because he was too angry. That scared me more than anything else. Marcus doesn't get angry. He's the calm one, the rational one who thinks things through and handles problems with a level head. The fact that he was admitting he couldn't control his anger meant this was so much worse than I'd thought. Then he told me he'd talk to a lawyer. A lawyer. I started crying immediately, those ugly sobs where you can't catch your breath. I asked him if he was really talking about divorce over one mistake, one stupid moment that lasted 2 seconds. What he said next honestly made me feel like complete garbage. He said it wasn't about the kiss. He said it was about the fact that I'd put myself in that position in the first place. It was about the fact that for months, I'd been choosing that group of people over him. It was about me getting defensive and dismissive every single time he expressed concern instead of actually hearing what he was trying to tell me. I tried to argue, but he cut me off. He said he'd been feeling disrespected for months. Every time I came home from one of Vanessa's parties and brushed off his questions, every time I dressed up for Tyler and acted like Marcus was paranoid for noticing, every time I prioritized those superficial friendships over our marriage, it chipped away at his trust. He said the kiss was just the final confirmation of what he already knew, that I didn't respect him or our marriage anymore. The way he laid it all out so calmly and clearly made me realize he'd been thinking about this for way longer than 3 days. This wasn't a heat-of-the-moment decision. He'd been watching our marriage deteriorate, and I'd been too caught up in my own selfish need for attention to notice. Then he said he needed more space to figure out if this was something he could forgive. The word forgive hit me like a slap. Like I'm some cheater who destroyed everything. I didn't cheat. It was one kiss that I didn't even want or ask for. But even as I thought that, I knew it was a lie I was telling myself. I did want it. Maybe not consciously, but I'd been encouraging Tyler's attention for months. I'd been feeding off it, using it to fill some void that I'd created by pulling away from Marcus. I asked him what I was supposed to do while he figured things out. He said I should probably think about what I wanted too, like there was even a question. I want my husband back. I want my marriage. I want to go back to 3 weeks ago before Vanessa's stupid party and make different choices. After we hung up, I completely broke down. I was lying on our bedroom floor sobbing into the carpet, the same carpet we'd picked out together when we first bought this house. Everything in this place is us, our shared life, our shared choices. And I'd lit it all on fire for a few months of feeling special at parties I didn't even enjoy that much. My mom called a few hours later. Apparently Marcus's brother told Marcus's mom what happened, and she told my mom. So now both of our families know about my screw-up. My mom tried to be sympathetic, but even she said I'd played with fire by getting that close to another man. Thanks for the support, Mom. I blocked Tyler's number. I blocked Vanessa too. Actually, I blocked everyone from that whole friend group. I don't want anything to do with those people anymore. This is their fault for creating this environment where something like this could even happen. For encouraging the flirting and the attention and treating marriage like it didn't matter. Except that's not totally true, and I know it. Some of the comments here called me out, and as much as it hurt to read, you're right. I made the choices. I liked Tyler's attention. I put myself in that position. I let my ego and my need for validation completely mess up the best thing in my life. The worst part is, I can't even talk to anyone about this. My friends from college are all Team Marcus because they actually know him and like him. Vanessa's group is blocked. My mom is disappointed in me. I'm just sitting here alone with no one to talk to except random people on Reddit, half of whom think I'm a terrible person. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am. I just don't know how to fix this. Marcus won't see me. He's not ready to talk beyond logistics. And I'm sitting here in our house alone, surrounded by reminders of him, feeling like the biggest idiot in the world. How do I show him I'm serious about fixing this? How do I prove that I choose him? That I always should have chosen him? Or is it already too late? Update. It's been 2 weeks since my last update, and I'm writing this from my childhood bedroom at my parents' house because Marcus asked me to move out temporarily. Yeah, it's gotten that bad. Let me back up. After my last post, I tried everything I could think of to show Marcus I was serious about fixing things. I wrote him letters, actual handwritten letters like we're living in some romance novel, and left them at his brother's place. I sent him photos of us from happier times with long captions about specific memories. I even showed up at his office one day to try to talk to him in person. That last one was a huge mistake. He was professional but firm. He walked me back to my car in the parking garage and told me I needed to stop. That I was making this harder for both of us, and that the more I pushed, the more it confirmed I wasn't respecting his boundaries, which was apparently part of the original problem. That comment stung because he was completely right. I wasn't listening to what he needed. I was just trying to fix things on my timeline, using my methods, without any regard for what he was asking me for. Just like I'd done with everything else. So I backed off. For like 5 whole days, I didn't contact him at all except for one text saying I understood he needed space, and I'd be here whenever he was ready to talk. He responded with a thumbs up emoji. A thumbs up. That's what 6 years of marriage had been reduced to. A thumbs up emoji like I was some coworker confirming receipt of an email. Then last week he texted asking if we could meet at a coffee shop to talk. My heart jumped into my throat when I saw the message. I got there 30 minutes early, spent the whole time fixing my makeup in the car and rehearsing what I'd say. When he walked in, he looked tired, like he hadn't been sleeping well, with dark circles under his eyes. Part of me felt guilty for putting him through this, but part of me also felt a tiny spark of hope because maybe that meant he missed me too. that he was struggling with this decision. We sat down at a table in the corner. He didn't waste time with small talk or ask how I was doing. He just launched right into it. He said he'd done a lot of thinking and talked to people he trusted, his brother and a few close friends, and even a therapist. He said he still loved me, but he didn't like who I'd become over the past few months. He said the woman he married wouldn't have prioritized parties and attention from random guys over her husband's feelings. I started crying immediately and apologizing, again. I told him I knew I'd been selfish, that I'd taken him for granted, that I wanted to be better and would do whatever it took. He listened quietly, his face expressionless, and when I finished, he just nodded slightly. Then he said something that absolutely broke me. He said he didn't know if he could trust me anymore. Those words hit harder than anything else he could have said. I asked him what I could do to rebuild that trust, my voice all desperate and shaky. He said honestly he didn't know if it was possible. He said trust is like glass, and once it's shattered, even if you glue the pieces back together, it's never quite the same. You can still see the cracks. Then he told me he thought we should separate for a while. Not divorce yet, he made that clear, but a real separation where we both take time to figure out what we actually want. He said he'd continue paying the mortgage on our house, but he wanted me to stay somewhere else so he could have the space to think without me there as a constant reminder. I didn't want to agree, but what choice did I have? He was calm and clear about what he needed, and I'd already pushed too hard too many times. So I said okay. I packed up my stuff over the next 2 days and moved into my parents' house 3 days ago. It's absolutely humiliating. I'm 29 years old, living in my childhood bedroom with the same purple walls I painted in high school, and my marriage is falling apart. My mom keeps trying to be supportive, but I can tell she's disappointed in me. Every time she looks at me, there's this sadness in her eyes. My dad barely talks to me at all. He's always respected Marcus, thought he was a stand-up guy, and I think he's honestly more on Marcus's side than mine. I haven't heard from Marcus since I moved out, except for a few texts about practical stuff, forwarding mail, coordinating bill payments, asking about the water bill that came to the house. Nothing personal at all. It's like I'm a roommate he's dealing with, not his wife of 6 years. Vanessa tried to reach out last week. She sent me this long message on Instagram about how she felt terrible about what happened, and how Tyler was completely out of line that night, and how she should have been a better friend to me. I didn't respond. I don't care about Vanessa or Tyler or any of those people anymore. They're not my friends. They never were. Real friends don't encourage you to disrespect your marriage. Real friends don't create environments where that kind of thing happens. But I also can't put all the blame on them. That's the coward's way out. I made my choices. I let Tyler get close because I liked how it felt. I went to those parties even when Marcus expressed discomfort because I wanted the attention more than I wanted to respect his feelings. The worst part is realizing how many red flags I ignored. Marcus tried to tell me he was uncomfortable with how much time I spent with that group. He tried to express that he felt like I was pulling away from our marriage, and every single time, I made him feel like he was being paranoid or controlling. I gaslit my own husband because I didn't want to admit that I was enjoying another man's attention. Some people in the comments on my last post said I emotionally cheated, even if I didn't physically cheat, and I think they're right. I gave Tyler something that should have only been for Marcus: my time, my energy, my attention, and my emotional availability. I let Tyler make me feel things that my husband should have been making me feel. And instead of working on my marriage and communicating with Marcus about why I felt disconnected, I just chased that validation somewhere else. I don't know what's going to happen now. Marcus hasn't mentioned divorce again, but he also hasn't said we're going to work through this. I'm just in limbo, and it's absolutely killing me. I can't sleep. I've lost my appetite. I can't focus on anything. My freelance work is suffering because I can barely bring myself to open my laptop. I got a real job, though. Well, I accepted an offer. I start next week at a marketing firm downtown. It's entry-level despite my experience because I've been freelancing for so long, but I figured that if nothing else, I need to focus on myself and my own life instead of sitting around waiting for Marcus to decide my future for me. But God, do I miss him. I miss everything about him. I miss coming home to him after running errands. I miss our Saturday morning routine of making pancakes together. I miss our inside jokes that nobody else would understand. I miss the way he'd kiss my forehead every single morning before leaving for work. even on days when we'd argued the night before. I miss feeling safe and loved, and like I was someone's priority. And I destroyed it all because I wanted to feel special at some stupid party with people I didn't even really like. If anyone's reading this and thinking about doing something similar, please don't. It's not worth it. That temporary attention, that little ego boost, that feeling of being desired by someone new, it costs you everything real. Everything solid and lasting and true gets traded for something superficial and empty. I'll update again if anything significant changes. Right now, I'm just taking it one day at a time and hoping that somehow Marcus decides I'm worth giving another chance to. Update, final update. It's been a month and a half since I moved out, and it's officially over. Marcus asked me to meet him yesterday, and I knew from his tone on the phone that it wasn't good news. My stomach dropped the second I heard his voice. We met at the same coffee shop as last time. He looked better, like he'd been taking care of himself, working out more, eating well. His skin looked clearer, and he seemed more relaxed than the last time I'd seen him. It made my stomach hurt, because I've been a complete mess. I've lost weight, but not in a healthy way, more like in a forgetting to eat because you're depressed and anxious all the time kind of way. My clothes don't fit right, and I've got permanent dark circles under my eyes. He didn't drag it out or make small talk. He just got right to the point. He said he'd given it a lot of thought, talked to his therapist, journaled about it, really sat with his feelings, and he couldn't move forward with the marriage. He said he'd tried to get past what happened, but every time he pictured me on that balcony with Tyler, every time he thought about all the times I chose those parties over him, he felt disrespected and betrayed all over again. I begged. I'm not proud of it, but I absolutely begged him to reconsider. I told him I'd do anything he needed. Couples counseling, individual therapy, cutting off everyone from that entire phase of my life permanently, moving to a different city if that's what it took. Whatever he needed from me, I'd do it. He shook his head and said it wasn't about what I'd do going forward. It was about what I'd already done and how it fundamentally changed the way he saw me and our marriage. He couldn't get past it. Every time he looked at me, he'd see that moment on the balcony, and that wasn't fair to either of us. He told me he needed a partner who chose him even when he wasn't in the room, someone who respected their marriage enough to set firm boundaries with other people without being asked, someone who valued their relationship more than external validation. And I'd shown him very clearly that I wasn't that person. That hurt more than anything else because he's absolutely right. When he wasn't there, I let Tyler get close. I liked the attention. I prioritized feeling desired over being faithful to my marriage vows. Marcus said he'd already filed for divorce. He'd been planning to tell me for about a week, but wanted to do it in person out of respect for what we'd had. He said the papers would be delivered to my parents' house within the next few days. We talked for maybe 20 more minutes about logistics and practical matters. The house is in his name from before we got married, so I don't have any claim to it. We don't have kids, thank God, because at least we don't have to put children through this nightmare. We'll split our shared bank account 50-50 and divide up our belongings, and that's pretty much it. We didn't accumulate much in 6 years of marriage because we got married so young and had been focused on building careers rather than acquiring stuff. Before we left the coffee shop, I asked him if he'd ever be able to forgive me. Not get back together, just forgive me as a person. He was quiet for a long moment, staring into his coffee cup, and then he said, maybe someday he'd forgive me, but he'd never be able to trust me again. And he couldn't be married to someone he didn't trust. Couldn't build a life with someone he constantly doubted. Then he said something that's been playing on repeat in my head ever since. He said he hoped I found whatever it was I'd been looking for at those parties, because it cost me everything else. We stood up to leave, and he hugged me. It was brief and felt like a goodbye hug, not a there's still hope hug. His arms barely touched my back, and it was over in seconds. Then he walked away, and I watched him get into his car and drive off. I sat in my car in that parking lot for probably an hour, just crying. Not pretty crying either, the kind where you're gasping for air and your whole body is shaking. Then I drove around aimlessly for a while, ended up at a park we used to go to, sat on a bench, and cried some more. Eventually, I pulled myself together enough to drive back to my parents' house, My mom tried to comfort me, but there's nothing anyone can say. I ruined my marriage. I had a good man who loved me, who worked hard for our future, who treated me with respect and kindness, and I threw it all away because I wanted attention from some guy in a leased BMW who I didn't even actually like as a person. Tyler texted me last week, by the way. I'd unblocked him by accident when I was scrolling through my contacts drunk one night, feeling sorry for myself. He said he'd heard through Vanessa about the divorce and asked if I wanted to get drinks and catch up. The absolute audacity. I blocked him again immediately, and this time I deleted his contact entirely, so I couldn't accidentally unblock him again. Vanessa has tried reaching out multiple times too through various platforms. I don't care anymore. Those people helped destroy my life, and they don't even feel genuinely bad about it. They're probably already gossiping about my divorce at their next party, using my failed marriage as entertainment. I start my new job on Monday. I'm going to throw myself into work and try to rebuild some kind of life from the wreckage I've created. I've been looking at apartments I can afford on my new salary, which aren't great because entry-level marketing doesn't pay much. I'll probably have a studio in a not great neighborhood with a long commute, but it'll be mine and I won't be living in my childhood bedroom anymore. I've been thinking a lot about what I'd tell my younger self if I could go back in time. I'd say, don't take good people for granted. Don't chase validation from strangers when you have real love at home. Don't let other people disrespect your marriage, even in small ways, because it all adds up. Don't confuse attention with affection or flattery with genuine connection. But I can't go back. I can only move forward with the consequences of my choices. And the consequences are that I'm 29 years old, getting divorced, starting over from scratch financially and emotionally, living with my parents, and I lost the best person who's ever been in my life. Marcus is a good man, and he deserves so much better than what I gave him. I hope he finds someone who appreciates him the way I should have, someone who chooses him first, always, without hesitation. Someone who doesn't need validation from random guys at parties because the love of a good man is enough. As for me, I'll figure it out eventually. I have to believe that. Right now, I'm just trying to get through each day without completely falling apart. Some days are better than others. Most days are pretty terrible. This is my final update. I'm deleting this account after posting because I don't want to keep reliving this or reading comments about what a terrible person I am. I already know. Trust me, nobody could judge me harsher than I judge myself. To everyone who offered genuine advice and tried to help me see what I was doing wrong, thanks. It was hard to hear, but I needed it. To everyone who called me out on my garbage behavior, you were right about everything. And I needed to hear that too, even though it hurt. Don't be like me. Don't destroy something real and solid and good for something temporary and superficial. It's not worth it. Nothing is worth losing the person who truly loves you.